If you followed the early blogosphere, you know this week's guest, Maegan Tintari of Love Maegan. I have never talked to her in real life before, but I've followed her for like almost 20 years. And meeting her over a video camera, it was like falling into the middle of a conversation that we'd already been having forever. Feelings. Maegan and I built our careers more or less in parallel. We were photographing ourselves on self-timers. We were defending sponsored posts to angry commenters and trying to convince both the internet and ourselves that what we were doing wasn't frivolous or without value. So in this conversation, we talk about what happens when the thing that created your sense of self-worth, and not to mention your financial security, changes to the point where you no longer even know how you fit in. This is a conversation about rebuilding after the crash and figuring out who you are when you're no longer performing a part to suit the algorithm. I'm Jordan Reed, and this is Like Me. Maegan, welcome to Like Me.
Thank you for having me.
We were just saying off camera, it is so strange to me that I don't think we've ever talked in person, have we?
I don't think so. I feel very comfortable with you like we have, though. But I think it's just like almost 20 years of maybe virtually knowing each other.
I
Right?
guess so. I mean, I feel like we're just picking up a conversation that we were already having. But
Right.
God, the internet is weird.
I know.
I would like to start with why in the world you subjected yourself to this digital world, and when did you start? How did you get into it? Why did you get into it?
Okay, so I'm like, hopefully I can remember. It was 2007.
You're an OG.
2007,
Yep.
I thought I was pregnant. So this is a really funny. I thought I was pregnant. And so I started a blog. I was a graphic and web designer already. So starting a blog just seemed like, digital, like I knew how to set it up. So I was like,
But how did you know that was even important?
I think I was following blogs without realizing. Obviously, we were all looking at like Perez Hilton at the time and like earlier without even knowing it was a blog, I think. But we looked at it every day, right? There must have been like a fashion blogger that I remember like Carla's Closet very early on. Do you
For
remember
me,
Carla?
it was Rumi. That was my introduction to fashion blogs and like, who is this chick?
Right.
Yeah,
Then I
but
was
I
like,
remember with Perez Hilton being like asking a friend. That was my only reference for a
yeah,
blog.
didn't know. Yeah, I didn't even realize kind of that was a thing. But I had been designing websites and doing graphic design for so long that, sorry, again, this Invisalign is making me really hard to talk. Anyway,
I'm just so happy you get Invisalign. We used to have I used to have the
I know,
colored bands around my teeth. So
I
this is
know,
much
but
better.
kids love it now. Kids love the like bands. But yeah, this is better because I'm almost 50 now. So anyway, 2007, I thought I was pregnant. And so I thought, oh, I'll just like, it would be like a baby journal. I thought I was just going to document my pregnancy.
Hmm.
And then, which was really funny because I never got pregnant ever. And so I think after, months of trying, I was looking at other blogs and I was like, oh, people are just posting their outfits. Like Carla's Closet, I think. And she was like a teenager at the time, maybe like 19. And she was so cute. And I was like, well, this is fun. Like I was so into fashion my whole life and had no sort of outlet for it. And so when I saw other people doing it, I thought, well, I can do this too. Like basically, like that was the sort of thought behind it. No idea that it was going to really turn into anything at first. But also knowing how to design a website, it was so easy for me to like set up a blog, no problem.
You didn't go into it thinking I'm going to make this a business and
No,
get income
not at
from it.
first. Because I was working in an art gallery and so I'd sort of rush to work and use the computer camera on my Mac at work before the boss got there to like shoot my outfit. And then I started doing like the leg up to show my shoe. And that sort of became something that I didn't even realize until I stopped. And they were like, well, where's the leg up? We want to see your shoe. Like literally, I would just like, and then like I would try to like, like we'd see the boss coming and be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that was so long ago. It was so funny. So in 2008, I think I was like, you know what? I'm going to just start posting every day and see what happens because I was kind of bored at my job. And I did it for about a year, still too afraid to like take my camera outside though, to do it like how everyone just does it now. No problem. Like I
Oh,
was
it
afraid.
was so embarrassing though.
And then in 2009, I posted a DIY and it was my first one. It was for like a Louboutin, the pedal heels. And I didn't even realize what I had done until like it was May 2009. And by summer, I had like magazines and people reaching out to me wanting to publish it when magazines were still like big. People are still buying magazines, print. And then like everyone was publishing all over the internet. And that was kind of like, I was like, oh, this is something.
Did you have formal representation or how were you monetizing this?
I wasn't yet. I wasn't. I had, in the beginning when like I would, you'd like sort of put a blog post out and be like, if you're a small business, you can have like a link on my sidebar,
I do.
right?
I remember that. Yes.
I didn't really I was doing my own negotiations and stuff, but it took a while. I filmed a pilot for like a DIY show in 2011. I had a book deal. I wrote a book for like like how to like wear clothes, basically like how to. It was called Rock Your Assets. It never happened. The pilot never happened, and then everything sort of fizzled out. But then I got the agent and then kind of moved up into the mountains. And then it kind of took off once I had the agent negotiating for me because I've never been like a good negotiator. I hated that
No,
part of it.
same. What parts of it were like the most fun for you and vis-a-vis like if this is different, what did your readers respond to the most?
Like I don't hold back. And so I was very authentic in the beginning. And I tried to keep that voice throughout. But then I think I got to a point where it started feeling like, oh, I have to make this a magazine because now there's so much competition. When in the beginning, there was like, we were all just sort of throwing ourselves out there, right? Like it all
Mhm.
just felt like, and that's when it was really fun, I think, because we all were being authentic and talking to each other in the comments and like sharing each other's work and growing a community that kind of didn't exist later on once like Instagram came around and all like the social media sort of took over. So
Yeah, there was this community and we all like connected through the comments
ah,
and it felt writer forward. And
yeah,
Instagram coming along really threw me personally for a loop because there were just women who could do that better than I could
right.
do that. I see, but to me, you were one of those people.
But I feel like I was not good at I kept the sort of like blog mindset
Uh-huh.
versus like an influencer mindset. And I felt like I never could translate it the way sort of influencers who then like blew up or even other bloggers who like fashion bloggers who were like, and it was at the time I was like, oh, it's because they're in New York. And and I was like, I just
Mm.
don't think I did it well. That's funny because I felt like I was like so bad at it.
See, same. And I wonder what the difference was because yes, there were people. I use something Navy as a sort of example. I met Ariel, we were like co-hosting a Macy's runway show or something like that, and Instagram had just come out and I had, I don't know, 3,000 followers and she had like 200 or something, and she was like, this Instagram thing is such bullshit. I'm so annoyed. And then I just watched her go like on Instagram and I was like, how?
Yeah.
I don't think I can do that. Instagram really to me was like this moment that writers or people who were invested in doing the vulnerable side of blogging
Right.
which was what was interesting to me, and no shade on them, like, they did a great job, but I could not do that.
I didn't feel like I was good at it. I think because my following never really grew. I still am like 15,000. I think it was nearing 20 at one point, but then like I just felt like I never really got it on
Mhm.
Instagram. Like
Same.
it didn't.
I remember, back in the day, I did buy followers in, like, I would say, like, 2015 or something like that,
Mhm. Yeah.
because it felt like, uh, literally life or death for a
Right.
career. And
Yeah.
my management company, without saying, like, "You need to do that," was like,
Do
"You
it.
need to do that," and I hated it.
Yeah. I couldn't
But
do it.
it
Good.
felt obviously, like, gross, and obviously is going to come back and bite you, or just not benefit you, but yeah, I mean, that was you never felt like you had
you
to do
know,
that?
I did. I was like, everyone must be doing this. That's why they're growing so much. Or also like
They were.
Instagram, right? Or Instagram would also like promote them, and I was like, well, why aren't they promoting me? It was a
Yeah,
kind of why is I follow this fashion blogger. She had 5,000 Instagram promoted. Now she has 100,000. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, what got her through that door of like? But no, when I was still married, my ex husband. And I had the conversation a lot about like buying followers. I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because I just felt like I just felt like I couldn't. And so he was like, I'll do it. So he
yeah.
did it. And we watched him like he built his account up to like 16,000 and then nothing happened to him. He still has that following, but I never did it. So I was like, well, I
But there were also
it,
watchdog sites that so it was very scary because, there was also, like, the fear of being I remember,
right,
like,
like
even
taken
with
down.
celebrities oh, totally taken down, but
Yeah.
even, like, I remember Us Weekly would, like, out celebrities who
Right.
had clearly bought bots or whatever,
Yeah.
and that was, like, the most shameful thing or
Which is crazy because
no, it was
everyone
terrifying.
was doing it. Like everyone was
Every
doing it.
Absolutely,
I did it.
I kinda really think I'm correct here when I say those early fashion bloggers at the very inception of Instagram absolutely did, and then that
Probably.
contributed to this explosive
To the
growth, and
growth.
I
Yeah,
yeah, like, when it was
probably.
big fish in a small pond, and I didn't join Instagram for, like, I don't know, like, 3 years after it started, and only because my agent, like, sat there and, like, took the phone out of my hand and installed the app. It was like
Right? You have to.
I was like, "I don't wanna do it." I found that I had to create spikes via oversharing. Like, that was what
Oh,
would
right.
make my did you feel that way, or did you have posts that were, like, exceptionally good DIY posts or exceptionally good fashion posts that
Yeah.
really, like, activated your audience?
I it was my DIYs. I did one every week because I knew that that was going to if I posted on a Monday or Tuesday, my traffic would hit and then it would sort of taper off. And then I remember I'm gonna posting on the weekends too because no one else was. And so if I posted on the
Mm.
weekends, I could keep my stats high while they would drop down, and that helped me like grow. But it was so much work. I mean, I was working like you know, more than 40 hours a week. It just was nonstop. But yeah, I mean, I started talking about infertility and that
Mhm.
became really big. And I didn't realize it. I was just being authentic. Like, and I would post about it like when I was sad. It wasn't when it wasn't happening. And then I would just get this outpouring of like emails from other women who like were like, I have no one to talk to about this. I feel so alone. And they would just like share all of the horribleness of what it felt like going through it. And we would talk sort of through email. And that felt like I was reaching people, like I was helping people without trying to, because I was simply just sharing. And then I was helping through helping myself. I feel like I see that now, like through my Substack. If I was to post something like that, it would spike it. But back then it was really my DIYs. Like now I'm like, I feel like I have to go back to doing DIYs or else like that's the only way I'm gonna get any kind of readership anymore, and I don't wanna do it anymore.
Sorry, there is a fly that's trying to get in my nose somewhere, like a gnat.
It's okay.
Substack is I don't feel the same kind of, but I don't know. So, how do you feel about Substack?
I don't feel like it's necessarily the same. I like it for different reasons. I'm like using it completely differently than I used my blog for. And I still have my
Mhm.
blog. I still like just in case I want to post any if I want to post fashion or DIYs, I will. I have it. But like I sit around in my sweats all day. Like I work from home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm like no makeup like you know what I mean? I don't want to just like put on my clothes to take pictures to post. I mean, I went through a phase of doing that because I felt like I had to after I wasn't like actively like going anywhere to work. And I don't wake up and get dressed to sit at home. I'm sitting around in sweats, you know what I mean? So
I
it's
mean,
like,
it's 3:42 p.m. I got dressed at 2:55 before we got on.
right.
And I'm sorry, and by dressed, I mean from here up.
Yes. I actually put jeans on. I was like, I was going to, I was like, you know what? I'll just put jeans just in case my legs make an appearance.
And they did because we talked about showing your legs. Did you feel pressure ever to adjust your content in order to become more monetizable or and how did you do with that if you did?
I think it was when I was like, I had big sponsors. I had yearly contracts, big yearly contracts that I hadn't had before. I'd get like one or, jobs consistently, but it wasn't until probably like 2012, 2013, 14, 15 where I had like big sponsors that would like, there were contracts that I was signing like for the whole year versus just
Oh,
like, oh,
yeah,
one-off
huge.
jobs. Yeah.
Who were
And
you
so
working with at the time?
I think similar people with Echo Damani. You were with Echo Damani too, weren't you?
I did.
Yeah.
They were a great client. Yeah, I
They
did.
were I
I don't know
loved
if I had annual contracts, but I did a ton of posts with them. They were great. Yeah.
yeah. I had like 3 years of like annual contracts with them, which I loved. And then like 2016 everything dropped off at 2016. So that's what was crazy. So like my biggest years were right before everything crashed and went to like almost nothing. It was
Same,
crazy.
same. For me, it was 2018 when digital brand architects let me go. And I went
Mhm.
from well into the six figures to
Yep.
effectively nothing.
Yeah.
And that was at the time I was like getting a divorce and I had two kids and I was like, oh no. Oh
Mhm.
no, because this
Right.
profession gives you a ton of truly awesome skills, but they don't translate in a way that people understand into jobby jobs.
Right.
What happened? Was there a moment or was
Well,
it just like a
yeah, there was kind of like a crashing moment, and I remember it so vividly because it was also the time that like my ex-husband and I were like separating. So it was spring of 2016. He kind of left, and in May, I worked with Sabrina Soto on like an HGTV thing with the Glam Network. So I was part of Glam, and my agents were Sway. I also felt like I was in six figures also. I was paying for our life without him. I felt totally independent, like I could do it without him. And I could because I had been supporting both of us for the last, 3+ years. So it was really, really rough when suddenly, so May, worked with Sabrina down in LA and we did this cute thing for Ace Hardware. And then a month later, I
I
get,
worked with them too. They were
right,
fun.
they were
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
I think we did Crocs too, didn't we? I think we both were on Crocs
Yes.
or like early on. That was one of my
Yes.
early, yeah. Like how
I
many?
Crocs is one of my favorite client
Same.
stories because I remember
Same, same.
hosting they had me host a meet and greet styling session with Jordan at the like the Herald Square in New York uh location, and I remember them being like, are you going to need security? They had, and I was like,
How cute.
no.
No.
No. They were
Oh,
like
good.
ready for the hordes to descend, and I was like, I think
Uh,
my mom's coming. Y'all. Uh,
that's so cute. But yeah, same.
no.
Exactly.
Yes, there was like a whole little circle of us doing Crocs. That's right.
Yeah, which I loved. And now, of course, I have like a pair sitting under my desk. I'm like, they used to send so many a month, and
So many.
now I'm like, can you send them again? Like I'm wearing them on a whole other
Same.
level now, and I'm like, now I'm not getting them.
They discontinued their, like,
Right,
fashion line, and I was very sad because I would
right.
continue to buy them.
I still have them. I still have them.
So
And
jealous.
I buy them now. So Sabrina calls me a month after we do the job, and she's like, Can you see can you see Glam? Can you see the network?" And I was like, "Hold on." So I go to my computer, right? And it's blank. It just says nothing. Like it's empty. Like Glam just shut down, went bankrupt. So the network we were both
Oh.
in literally just disappeared. Like gone. Nothing. They still owed me for multiple jobs in the thousands, 10,000s plus. I was also earning monthly from them for like ad revenue. Well, I also had like Google ad revenue, but like Google was never that great. I was getting sponsored work through them and then also as an ad network. And so they just disappeared, owing everything, owing everyone everything. They disappeared.
Well, what happened? Did you ever
There was nothing. There was a lawsuit we all sort of were part of, and
mm.
then I never heard back. Nothing happened. So not only did I lose like what they still owed me, I lost like the monthly revenue from them between sponsored work and ad revenue as well. Sorry, as my dogs. Um, and then a month
I
after
love your dog
that,
so much. I live for your dog content. You're so cute.
they're getting so old. Anyway, so a month after I lost the Glam Network, Sway calls me, who was my agent, and they were like, "We're gonna have to let you go because we want to focus solely on mom blogs now." And I was like, like I
Whoa.
also, which also felt like anything having to do with mom stuff really was triggering because I was trying for my entire adult life to get pregnant, like from my 30s even into my 40s, trying to get pregnant and it never happened. So then it also felt like, oh my God, I'm like losing work now too because of not being in this right bracket. And then so it was really hard. So kind of, and then all my sponsors with Sway dropped off that year too. So I had through through the end of 2016, I was still getting paid. And then through 2017. But because of all of that was like dropping, I was like, I have to do something. And so that's when I went into business and opened a bar. That's why I was like, oh, let me see, let me do this instead, which was a massive mistake.
What was it? What?
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible.
I
Well,
mean, I'm like,
it was horrible.
that sounds amazing, but no.
I thought it was going to be really amazing. I really did. For so many reasons, I had really high expectations. I was in the small town. I was up in Lake Arrowhead
Mhm.
and small town, and it had like no nightlife. And I was like single because I was getting a divorce, and my ex moved back down to LA, and I stayed. And so I was like, "There's nothing to do up here." I met some people and we were like let's open a bar and we spent like a year like rebuilding and I invested in it and then like I walked away from it last year 2024 I think like just I was like I have to walk away so I
It's so interesting that it makes so much sense to me to pivot because we like, and by we I mean, sort of us beta influencers
right
all had to figure out how to pivot at some
yeah
point. And it was like some people started pivoting, seeing the writing on the wall. Some people were forced to pivot. But it makes so much sense that you went into like such a tangible, real world
yeah I
opportunity,
was,
like a bar, like a place that you go and it's real.
yes and that was part of the expectation of like okay, my ex just left. I hadn't really made any new friends on the mountain, like living up there because he and we were there. And I had one friend who like emailed me from LA and was like, how was life up there? I said it was amazing. She moved up and we became friends. And then multiple people actually did that, which I thought was funny. And then I thought, well, look, I have a place to go. I have a place of business. I can go work there. I can also create more content, blog content with it. Still wasn't giving up on blogging. I still am not giving up on blogging.
Mhm.
It's like so much a part of me. But I really thought, well, let's try it.
Yeah, like I don't even know who
Right?
I am without, yeah.
Yeah. But I thought, well, let's step into like a brick and mortar. And it was a bar restaurant. And I thought it was going to be amazing. And it was just the most stressful, hardest thing ever. I also had two questionable business partners and then ended up in a relationship with one of them, and which made it even harder. So
Oh my God. I have heard that. I mean, I definitely have had my bar owner fantasies over the years.
And of course, we had no competition when we opened, and now there's, 10 10 plus have places, bar restaurants have opened up there. And so it was just the most stressful thing I'd ever been through. And I left it. And then I started focusing on Substack right after that to be like, well, let's see how to transition. And then I started video, like recording. And then last year I started writing a book on my Substack. So I released a chapter every week. And so I thought,
So
well,
cool.
it was really, I was like, I never would have finished it had I not done it that way. But I'm still like working on rewrites, or like
Yeah.
editing, because obviously there's so much work involved.
Like, first of all, brave to be, like, releasing bits of a book while you're working on it, but I
Right.
totally relate to that sense of, like, well, I guess I have to do it now because
Oh, right.
I'm putting it out there.
I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to quit now. I told everyone I was doing it, even if, not a lot of people were reading it. Maybe, maybe not. I just still felt like I committed. I'm finishing this. I'm seeing it through. So that's like how I'm trying to move forward, or hope to move forward anyway.
Was there ever an experience of grief in terms of, like, this was, because I've never let go of my site, but I definitely had, I would say, like, a 4-year period where I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And then I'm only still now realizing how much that impacted me from an emotional perspective. It was, I was like, can't, but also it was so central to my identity that
Yeah.
I missed it so badly, and I missed the people so badly.
Yeah.
Did you ever
Yeah.
experience anything like that?
I think it happened around COVID. I lost like my final sponsors, like at COVID. Like I was still getting like shop bop, I was so it still sort of gave me reason to share and post, because I was still monetizing, even if it was very
Mhm.
small. And was all my energy was going toward the bar or restaurant, because it's like having a baby. I mean, don't do it.
Oh, no.
Don't do it.
You know what? I have been convinced by many people, but I'm gonna take you saying that as, like, the nail in the coffin. I am
Don't
saying
do
here
it.
and now, I will
Don't do
not.
it. Anyway, it was around that time though that like my final sponsors were done, and I was like, well, I always said I loved it so much I would continue doing it even if I wasn't earning money. But then I was like, I was so drained emotionally from not only the toxic relationship I was in, but also the toxic business I was in. And so I didn't have any space creatively.
Right.
And even when I would go out and and I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus, but also fuck him. I would go out to like shoot my outfit, and I'd get like the third degree. Like, where were you? Who you were talking to? You're cheating on me. Like, just driving around to shoot an outfit. So I was in a very emotionally abusive relationship during that time too. So I couldn't really even share.
Yeah.
At the same time, I still was so drawn. I was like, I don't want to let this go. This is so much a part of me. And I do still love it. I want to be in that space so bad, but also I wasn't, I didn't feel authentically showing up anymore. Like, just again, like putting on outfits to go shoot, to come back home and put on my sweats. I'm like, didn't feel, I felt like I was lying. And I just like, it just didn't align. And so I thought, well, I'll just do it when I want to. And since it wasn't like paying the bills anymore, and I was running the bar, I'll do it when I want to and share when I want to, and just sort of keep it around. And I'm glad I did, but I still look at it like with longing, almost like, oh, I want to get in there. I want to be in there again, because life was so much easier back then. It was so
It
wonderful.
was, and it was so, there was, like, even though it was so toxic and trolls and blah, 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 which I have to ask you about, but
Oh yeah.
I just went back. I'm writing a show right now, actually, about, like,
I saw
that
that.
era. I'm so excited. But
All
I've
I saw
I've
was you writing a pilot, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
exciting,
I'm
exciting.
pumped. But
I know.
I've been rewatching, like, old videos and looking back at old posts, and that time was, not to romanticize it, 'cause it was also, like, incredibly hard, and I was
It
broke and blah,
was.
blah, blah.
I
It
know.
was, but there was this, like, whimsy or something, this
Yeah,
simplicity, and it was so fun and
it
exciting,
was.
and it felt like every day was like you didn't know. what
Right.
was gonna happen. And I wonder, I mean, I don't think it's the same
No.
for whoever I mean, I don't know who the influencer people are now, like fucking
Right.
clavicular or whatever. But I but like they go into it sort of already jaded, I guess.
Right.
Like they
Right.
know what they're shooting for.
It is so different.
Maybe I just sound old. I don't know.
Sometimes I think that too, because if we didn't exist, they couldn't exist. But
We
also,
walked so they
so they
could
can exactly.
run.
But like, think about like even talking about GOMI or like trolls. Think
Uh-huh.
about like how people responded to sponsored work back then. Like, oh my God, you were a
How
sellout. How
dare
dare you?
you?
How dare you talk
You
about like a brand?
shill.
You right, like and now people are like, "Ooh, who's your sponsor? Like who's your the flip is wild because we really had to like hear like the end of it. I it just yeah, there was I had like a cranberry juice post that I remember like really made Gomi mad. And I
You
was
wrote
like, "You
about
guys,
cranberry juice?
how dare I?"
Dare you.
Like, fuck.
The things that they went after me for are so funny, in retrospect, but at the time, and please be certain that I am building this into this show because it's not silly. There were real world
Right.
stakes. When Heather Armstrong died,
Oh, so bad.
I very much understand mental health was involved. I understand all of that, but I also, and I imagine you do too, very
Yeah.
personally know that it felt like a horde of
Yeah.
people banging down my doors and threatening my life, children, ability to pay for my home.
Right.
And it was the stakes were very real
Right.
to me.
Yeah, I read your post too about it. You had it more extreme than me. I think they would talk about me sometimes and I would try not to look. But
Oh, you
and
have
then
to look
I know.
because you get the flood of and you're like, oh, they wrote about me.
Right, like, it was a day when I'd be like, "Wow, 20,000 views, 30,000 views today. Oh, they must be talking about me on GOMI." So I was like, "Okay, bad press, good for" but I still would try because it's so hurtful. It's like, getting 100 nice comments and then one negative one. You're like,
Oh, they
I
live
st
in your head forever.
forever, forever.
It's
Like, I still
wild.
have right, there's one that always I remember I was wearing a white dress in an outfit post, and it was sponsored, and she said one of the comments was like mutton dressed as lamb, and I was like, "What? Like, what do you mean? That's so silly, but like that's something that clearly stuck with me. Like,
Oh, because too old
right?
to wear that, something like that?
I was like in my
Who
30s,
knows?
so it wasn't even like I don't even think it was an age thing. I think she was just trying to tell me like I wasn't I don't it was like a humbling maybe. I don't know. It's so silly.
No,
But
it sounds so silly, and, like, when I tell my kids about this now, they're like, "Huh?" Like,
right.
"Don't worry about it," and I'm like, "No, you don't
It
understand. We
was
didn't
so
have
different.
any context,
No, it was so
and we
different.
weren't insulated by, like, tons of money and fame and whatever." Like,
No,
if you're
nothing.
writing these things about, I don't know, like Sydney Sweeney, she's probably not reading them, or maybe she is, I don't know, but I was
Right.
reading all of them, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Right. I think it kind of gave me some self-awareness too to not talk negatively about celebrities even because of how
Mhm.
sad it made me, and I looked and I was like, "Wow, I mean, if they see this is mean. This is just mean. Like, why are we" I think people don't realize that they're gossiping sometimes in a way that's so mean that people
Mhm.
if what if that like, put yourself in their shoes, and I don't think people
Yep.
really can. I did write a post once that really killed it, and because I was like it was after something happened, and I don't remember what, but I wrote a post, and I was like I went off.
I mean, that's
And
so brave. It's scary to even, like, invoke the name because then they, like, blah, blah, blah,
yes,
blah, blah.
I literally went off. I don't remember what I said. I remember having to take it down and
Oh, yeah?
being yeah, and then being like, "Sorry." but it was kind of one of those things like I like for instance, I did a Burger King. I know you were an actor too, like before all of this. So
Yeah.
I did a Burger King commercial when I was 16, 17, right?
Yeah.
And I had to I had to pretend I worked at, Burger King, which I never did, obviously.
Because
And
you
so
were doing an ad.
it
Correct.
was an
Okay.
ad. And so I tried to use that as like some sort of like reference point for people who like believe celebrities are like eating this food that when they're not. And I really tried to like reference it and they just came for me. And I was like, fine, I'll just take it down.
How do you feel in retrospect? Like, are you? I don't want to say happy or sad because that's so minimalizing. But
Well, yeah,
are
it's
you
not
glad
minimalizing.
are you glad? Like on balance, are you happy that you went down this path?
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
I,
same.
I really loved it. I wish it was still the same.
Yeah.
If I could go back and do it again, I totally would. This like for sure. I loved it. It was fun. I felt like I had a place where I was just using all my hobbies and all my favorite things and sharing in a way that then other people related. And I also helped by sharing personal stories, but then also that I just got paid to do. So
Yeah.
I
I
finally
mean,
got to
it's the dream. It is the
it
dream.
really was. And I was so anxious throughout those years. I was really dealing with a lot of anxiety that like I got invited to like fashion shows that I didn't go to because I was like I couldn't get on an airplane, I couldn't go places. So like I wish I almost could go back in a way and do all really experience it in the way that because I think if I would have met people in real life, I also would have built a real bigger community instead of just virtual community. And maybe that is how some of the early influencers blog transfers like did get an explosive following because they were sh- showing up and meeting people in real life. And so sometimes I feel like I missed out on that bigger part of it just because I was terrified. I was so anxious all the
Yeah.
time.
I don't think so because I was there in New York and
Right.
going to all the events and like
Right.
all the
Yeah.
things. But I also experienced that anxiety when I would get invited to like a fashion week show, the panic
Yeah.
and the
I couldn't do it.
imposter syndrome and
Right.
what the fuck am I gonna wear?
Right.
And I just felt so silly. Uh,
Right.
and then there was also this weird thing, like if you're not sitting in the right place, you're not important. And so it was all this jockeying for position and like,
Right.
ugh. So it's not like I would go to these shows and enjoy them. It
It was
was
like a lose
about
lose. Right. Yeah.
it was just about being there and like what that says about you and whatever.
Right.
And so no, I don't. Same. Like, I wish I could go. Like, I would love to go to a fashion show, and I will sit right up there in the back, and I will watch because that's exciting. It's fun. And at the time,
Yes.
though, it was just like
Right.
stressful.
Right. It's so weird because, like, when I think back to my like teenage self, she would have gone in a heartbeat, not cared where she sat.
Yeah,
And this version of me also, I'll go in a heartbeat, not caring
I'll
where I
go
sat.
wearing this. I
Whatever.
don't
Like, I will
care.
wear exactly. But like for some reason during that pivotal time, and maybe because we were kind of under such attack, or at
Mhm.
least it felt like it all the time under such like a magnifying glass all the time of like we were anything we did could be wrong. And now it's more like if we say something
Everything we
wrong,
did
we can
was wrong.
right. But then it turned into
To
like if
some
we say
people, but yeah.
something, the fear of like getting canceled too at this point. Like
Mhm.
if you say something wrong, like I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm like, like the constant fear of just like being human
Mhm.
really sucked the life out of it,
Mhm.
unfortunately. And then it and then there just felt like so much competition. It's like when celebrities come in, suddenly you're like now competing with like Goop and other
Sure.
massive
Like
blogs that you're
Olivia
like,
Palermo was
uh,
around. It's like, well,
right,
I can't. Yeah.
yes. We're
Yeah.
like, well, I don't have a team. It's literally just me and my husband shooting pictures of me. Like there was no team.
When
I
I
wasn't.
got divorced, I was like, "Oh shit! Like, what
Yes,
do I do now?
my
Just
mom
mirror
became my
selfies."
photographer. Yes. Well, it's funny because in the beginning, when we had the little Canon elf cameras or whatever,
Yeah,
I'd just like drive up
oh god, they
Mulholland,
were so cute. I remember
right?
those little cool pics
Right. Cool.
or
Yes.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'd drive up Mulholland and just like pull over and like where I was hoping no one was gonna see me. I'd put like the timer on and set it on my and run back into place and then run back and then run into place and I'd be like just like on the way to work driving over Mulholland like and then how many people in the beginning were like pull over and be like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like,
Oh,
"Yeah, I'm just sharing pictures of my outfit," which was so embarrassing at the time. Like people
so
do that, like
embarrassing.
everyone's
And I
just walking
remember
in,
I would like if I
no
was
problem.
at dinner, I would like
Yes,
take a photo and just be like, "Oh gosh."
right. Like, and now
Yeah.
it's looks like nobody cares.
Well, now I'm
It's
embarrassed to
so
do
funny.
anything like that for different reasons. But
Oh,
yeah, I guess that's why I'm writing this book and interest like doing this podcast is because, just to talk us up that like that kind of sharing and vulnerability and putting yourself out there, it was so exciting, but it really was so fucking brave. It really
yeah,
was. And we kept going through things that, we can contextualize them now and think like, oh, haters, whatever. It
right.
was a big deal.
It
And
was,
I'm really proud of us. And I think
yeah, this is really good place.
and it's easy to be like, "Oh, my career isn't at this like, making tons of money and I'm doing whatever." And that is just like the way, the performance economy or whatever you want to
Yeah,
call it works.
yeah.
And I really think that I think that what we did was really special. And I think that,
I think so too.
people
Yeah,
made it seem silly and performative and like, "Oh, you're just a
right.
fame ball or you're egotistical." But no, we were
Right.
like sharing.
Yeah, really heavy stuff. Really, really heavy stuff.
Mhm,
And I didn't even
mhm.
realize it. Yeah, I didn't realize when I was talking about my infertility journey and, just talking through the emotions of it and
Yeah.
admitting that I was sad and what I was going through. I had no idea how many women felt like they couldn't tell anyone that. And because I'm like, I'll shout it to like,
Yeah.
I'll say anything. And so it made me really sad that so many people felt like imagine going through something and then not being able to talk about it and having no one to talk to about it. They couldn't talk to their husbands about it. They couldn't talk to their families about it. They weren't going to therapy. They were finding some other random person who was talking about it and then emailing her because they felt so alone. Again, it just gives me the chills still thinking about it
I
because
just got I have full
right, like
goosebumps. Yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
just feels like
Yeah.
'cause my heart goes out to them because we all went through something like that, like, once we shared, people came out of the woodwork to be like, "I'm going through that too. Thank you for sharing because now I don't feel so alone." And that really, I think, is something that I didn't realize was brave at the time because I'm just a kind of an open book in that way, and maybe all of us kind of are, and that's why it feels brave to people who aren't, and it is because I didn't understand it as brave at the time. I was just like, "This is what I do."
Neither.
So but I do understand, like, people had
Ah.
no idea. I'm sorry.
No, it's like you I think you probably even now don't understand the impact that you had.
I
And
have no idea. I really
yeah.
don't. I really
Yeah.
yeah, and you too. I think we have I don't get it until, like, someone will even still DM me and be like, "You were the first one I was following. I was going through college at the time, and I would look
Mm.
to see your outfits every day, so because I didn't know what to wear," and I was like, "Oh my god." Like, even just things like that, I was just sharing myself in a very authentic way, and then that became the thing that helped people, and I had no idea. And I think I wish more people would do it, but I also know that as I'm aging, I'm
Mhm.
doing it less because I
Same.
am scared. I don't want to even see my own reflection sometimes, and I hate
I don't
that.
either. I don't
It's
either. I
uh
hate that, and I
I
want to
hate
be
it.
not that person,
I wanted
and
to,
yet and
and
yet.
yet here we are, and yet I don't know how to. I'm at a place too where I'm like I'm not really sure how to show up, and I think that's part of why I stopped as far as like posting myself so much. I mean, I'm coming on Substack. I do like I do videos and I say it like they're called come as you are, so I can just show up without putting makeup and just be like, This is like it took the pressure off and allowed me to start talking to the camera more and getting used to it. But I still don't really show up in the way that I want to. And then I think probably would help people. When I think back of what we're talking about now, how it helps people without realizing, think about all the women who also feel like we do, are scared to
Mhm.
show up, feel ugly because they're aging, because they have
Correct.
lines on their face, whatever, because we don't look like we did. We don't know who we are anymore. Like we've gone through so much in our lives and we're like I'm rebuilding all over again after just like completely losing myself in a business and a relationship. And so that's what Substack has really been there for me now is like a rebuilding. That's why it's like paid. So I know that people who are paying are there and they aren't going to be mean about it.
It
They're
does feel
invested.
like a safer space
It
in
feels
some ways.
safer and
Yeah.
they're invested in a way that when I'm giving stuff for free, they don't have to be. And so
Mhm.
I feel like it's a little more personal and I can show up more personally. And I went like the year I was leaving my relationship, I was like crashing out and crying and just being ridiculous talking. I felt like a teenager in that relationship. And so that was helpful also because I had no one else to talk to about it. So in the way that like me sharing in the past had other people coming to me, I then sort of came back trying to share in a way when I felt like I didn't have anyone, hoping I'm talking to the void too. I'm talking to my own camera, but knowing people are on the other side feels like they're there.
Something I keep trying to tell myself, and I do believe it, even though it's hard to remember, is that we did that. We don't have to keep doing that forever in the
Right.
same way for what we
Yeah.
did to matter. Like
Right.
people age out of careers, they age out of interests,
Right.
they just change their mind. And that doesn't mean, oh, you were doing this, that was awesome, and now you're a failure. It means you did this
And
and now
now I
you're
want to do
doing
something else.
this.
Right.
Yes. And it's
Yeah.
very hard. It's like, I'm not making the same money. I don't look the
Right.
same. I everything hurts.
Yeah.
But it's not a zero sum game. I
Yeah.
like we did this thing and now
Yeah.
we're doing these other things and
Yeah.
it's not like a mountain that we need to stay at this like perceived top that doesn't exist. It's just
Right.
life.
And I think going deeper into writing, I think for me again, and writing the book, which really has also helped me emotionally get through the relationship and past that I was like trying to work through. I now feel like it's almost like something new. Like in the beginning of blogging, when we were like, it's so uncertain, but it's also so exciting. Like there's might be a lot of rejection, but I'm gonna dive in anyway. That's kind of how I feel about the book. Like I'm about to like submit to agents, and I'm probably gonna get turned down and a lot of rejection. And I'm like, we'll see what happens, So that I feel like I'm on the precipice of like the next adventure in the
Mhm.
way that I did early blogging, and that um feels exciting again, even though like the finances aren't lining up like they were. And like
Same.
you said, like
Same.
it's like, well, I'm rebuilding all so that like my future looks different and hopefully still just as exciting as it once was, or better, or more exciting,
Or exciting in a different way.
in a different way. Yeah.
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 Megan, I thank you so much for talking about all of this stuff so openly and so beautifully. And can you please tell me and the viewers where we can find you? these days.
Everywhere is like slash love Megan. I'm still like figuring out how to arrive on TikTok, but I like it better than Instagram in a way that you can just like talk to the camera about anything, which I don't feel like I can do on Instagram at all. Like it still has to be perfect on Instagram.
Oh,
I don't know why.
totally. But I can't do TikTok because I just can't learn new things. Don't want to.
But
I'm done.
yeah,
I tapped out at Vine. I was like, I learned Vine. Vine went away.
I
Now I'm
know.
done. I'm done
Vine
with
was
new
so
platforms.
short-lived too. Like
I
Vine
know.
was like had so much potential and then it was short-lived. So, well, anyway, well, thank you so much for this was really fun. And I feel like, again, like we've been talking forever on some level and we're in the same world. So, thank you for having me. Thank you for talking to me.